Supersize takeaway junkie Chris is going to be facing Superskinny stylist Nathan in the feeding clinic. But before he does, Dr. Christian is sending Chris to the west coast of America for a serious wake-up call by meeting someone a few years older and 8 stone heavier than him. After an 11-hour flight, Chris arrives in the city of Antioch, California. It's time for Big Chris to meet Big Joe.
Hi, I'm Chris.
I'm Joe.
Hi, Joe.
Come on in.
Cheers, thank you.
At 30 years old and 32 stone, Joe Amador still lives in his parents' home. He was diagnosed with high blood pressure aged just 11, when he was already 14 stone, and having doubled his weight since on a diet of fast food and soda, his body is now falling apart.
The weight gain has caused the swelling in my leg. If I cut myself, it doesn't bleed. Water comes out of the wounds.
His swollen frame is symptomatic of something even more serious.
I actually suffer from congestive heart failure. They say my heart is at 20% capacity.
When he recently ended up in A&E, he discovered just how life-threatening his condition had become.
My lungs were full of water. My whole body was full of water, basically. When I seen the doctors, he says I wouldn't have made it another day. It was the scariest thing I ever heard in my life.
With his high blood pressure, Chris could be heading down a similar route. But for now, he's breaking the ice with his favourite subject, food.
What kind of things do you enjoy eating?
Anything, really.
Same, that's so similar.
I grew up eating almost anything.
Man after my own heart.
Yeah.
And temptation is soon on the menu. Big Joe is taking Chris to see just how he got so big, with a visit to his favourite fast food joint.
Can I have the double extreme burger, please?
Chris is in burger heaven. Or is it hell?
You guys, I got the super extreme burger and the mushroom Swiss for you.
This monster mouthful is quite a shock, even for him.
Wow. Look at that.
Good luck.
My God. And how do you eat this?
Just attack it.
That is insane. The extreme burger was massive. 4 burgers, loads of cheese, loads of mushrooms, double bun. I've never seen anything like it in my life.
That is a good burger.
Chris might never come back at this rate, but in between mouthfuls, at least they're both realising why they overeat.
Is there ever a point where you know it's too much, but you still kind of go for it?
Yeah, almost every time. If you're having a bad day,
yeah,
it's in the head and you just want to eat to help you, so.
You know, you get that mood, you just keep eating. It's my escape.
But with the boys well and truly indulging their bad habits, it's just as well that the next morning, Dr. Christian is en route for a surprise visit, ready to convince Chris to face up to his food issues.
Chris really is a sort of classic binger. He turns to food as a sort of comfort blanket, and he's sort of stuck in this cycle of binging. So I'd really like to make him the master of his cravings and not the slave to them.
Well, Big Joe's got a cautionary tale to tell that might make Chris stop and think about the path he's on.
I was diagnosed with congestive heart failure. I was 25 and a half when they told me that. It's twice the size as a normal heart, and that's because of the blood pressure. You have high blood pressure.
Yeah.
Do your legs swell at all?
Yeah.
They do swell?
Yeah, quite regularly, yeah.
If I don't change my ways, I'm not going to live much longer.
That's really scary.
Yeah. It's
scary.
They gave me 5 more years.
Wow.
The doctor talks about heart transplants, which is bad for me because they won't give me a transplant because of my weight.
Will they if you lose weight?
Probably, yeah.
Is that why you're trying recently?
That's one of the reasons, yeah. That's the main reason.
I wouldn't have thought by looking at Joe that he only had 5 years to live. And when he told me that, that really, really shocked me. It really brought it home to me that that could be me.
Chris and Joe head back to the house for breakfast, and right on cue, Dr. Christian is pulling up outside.
Okay, is this it?
To give Chris a further shock, just as he's tucking into another unhealthy meal.
Hey, Chris, how are you? Have I interrupted your breakfast? Joe?
Joe.
Christian, nice to meet you. How's it going?
Doing all right.
Yeah?
Dr. Christian wants to know why on earth a man given 5 years to live is still eating the way he is.
Burgers, breakfast time?
I know.
Joe, you're supposed to be setting an example. What's going on?
I know. I know, it's easy.
When you were told all this, why wasn't that enough to kind of get yourself in shape and get healthy?
I've tried a lot of things. And now, I'm trying something now where addicted to soda. I switched from regular to diet, and I've lost 11 pounds in 3 weeks, just from doing that.
But a snoop in Joe's freezer reveals the unhealthy habits that he's finding harder to break.
Oh! So we've got burgers, chicken pot pies. What is a corn dog?
It's a hot dog with, like, a pancake batter over it. It's supposed to be deep fried.
It's what we call battered sausage.
Kind of like that, yeah.
The theme running through all this food, you know, is fat and salt.
Salt, yeah.
It's the two things you definitely shouldn't be eating, isn't it?
Joe's story has definitely been a warning for Chris.
When Joe told you about the fact that he needed a heart transplant or only had a few years left, how did you feel about that?
Scared for him and for me in a way. He can't actually seem to control his habits at the moment of eating. And it worried me that if he doesn't, then he's only got 5 years left, and I think that should really push anybody into action. I think it's really pushed me to think about what could happen to me in the future. I've got enough problems now. I don't want there to be more.
I really hope that this visit for Chris is going to be the wake-up call that he needs. And he really does seem determined that he's not going to run into the same problems as Joe is now. But does he mean it, or is this just hot air?
I think after the last couple of days with Joe, he's got so many problems health-wise. Joe, it's been a pleasure.
Absolutely, yeah. It's been good to meet
I don't want to be like that. And I think that's given me the motivation now to go back home and to really push it.
A few weeks later, Chris is back in the UK at Dr. Christian's feeding clinic, ready to put his newfound resolve to the test. Joining him across the dinner table is super skinny meal dodger Nathan, who needs to put right his puny portions. But before they exchange their eating habits, Dr. Christian wants to delve a little deeper. At 8 stone 5, Nathan is under-eating by 1,000 calories a day, with a vitamin-deficient diet putting him at risk of skin problems and osteoporosis.
So why are you so skinny? Basically, it means you're not eating, doesn't it? And why are you not eating?
I have got quite a hectic lifestyle. I've got
So, like, excuse number one. Yeah.
I've got a very sociable lifestyle.
Excuse number two. I mean, looking through at the sorts of food that you have been eating, it's spectacularly boring. It's day in, day out, exactly the same thing in a little miserable portion. And you don't enjoy food, do you?
Not particularly. I just do because it's routine, I suppose.
It's another excuse. Excuse number three, maybe? You also say that after you've eaten, you don't always feel so good.
I often wonder why I must feel quite bloated, and I do sometimes think perhaps I've just got a really small stomach.
Your body is very efficient, so it'll size things according to requirements. You know, so your stomach will be small. As soon as we get you eating again, that will change.
Weighing in at 24 stone 6, Chris is eating enough for 2. But after his American adventure, is he ready to recognise where he's going wrong?
Chris. Hi. Welcome back.
Thank you.
To the UK.
Yep.
What do you think you took home?
Joe is the way that I don't want to be, and he started where I am about now. I don't want to die early, really.
When you eat, when you go into one of your real binges, how do you feel?
I think a lot of my time when I'm eating, I'll eat because I'm bored, or for a number of other reasons, but they're mostly emotional rather than hunger, physical hunger.
For you, food seems to be a friend.
Yeah.
But it's not.
Yeah, it stabs you in the back pretty quick.
It does.
Well, it's time to put words into action as Supersize and Superskinny swap their diets, in the hope that watching someone else struggle with their preposterous portions will shock them into a healthier way of eating. Chris and Nathan's dietary adventure begins with breakfast and an exchange of cereal. But while Chris is presented with a rather paltry portion, Nathan's big bowl contains a triple helping.
Well, I was going to say good luck, but I think it's...
It's you the one.
It's me that needs the luck. Here goes.
It's nice to eat something.
It's a civilised start to proceedings, but it's not long before Nathan's tiny tummy seems to be feeling the strain.
I am, you know, I'm getting fuller now. I'm getting to the point where my stomach feels a bit like it's stretching a little bit, and probably going to have to leave the majority of that, really.
I think you should try and finish it. It's the first meal. Come on.
Right, OK.
If you want to put on weight, you're going to have to push it a bit, aren't you?
Nathan does cram in a few more mouthfuls, but unfortunately, Chris's usual brekkie doesn't end there. there's still his morning snack stop to come.
This is for the way to work.
Oh, God.
I eat constantly, pretty much, and I've never really had that feeling of hunger.
Right.
So I'd like to sort of refine that in a way and try and learn to when enough is enough. Well done.
But fair play to Nathan, he's pushed through Chris's multi-coursed meal.
I whizzed through my breakfast in about 2 or 3 minutes. I think it took him about an hour.
Chris definitely did manage that bowl of cereal. I think he just felt really hungry after having it. He looked a little bit gutted, really. I suppose that might be the right word.
I think Nathan, he's going to get quite moody later. I think he's going to find it really difficult to eat everything that I usually eat. He's really going to crack, I think.
So with battle lines drawn, it's soon time for round 2, lunch. And for Chris, it's a pair of ham baps, while Nathan's facing a packed plate of chicken, sausages, carrots, 3 Yorkshire puds, gravy, and a glass of cola.
I'm really jealous of that.
Lunch seems to be going down well on both sides.
Well, this is my last mouthful, really, now, so, yeah. Go for it.